Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
All right, my name's Steve and I'm an alcoholic. This is what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So I've got an alcoholic thing, and whatever I tried, I liked more than the next person every time. You know, it started off with a beer with my grandpa when I was 6, or, you know, someone said sugar bread or whatever. Now that I've been sober, it'll be 6 years if I make it into the middle of May. You know, I could make everything from, you know, fucking to shopping to washing my hands into something dirty. It's the kind of person I am. So once you realize that that's the way you are, you know, the alcohol or the dope is just like a symptom, like it says in the book, you know. So now that I don't treat myself with, by the way, you know, I used a lot of drugs, but it's fun for me to say alcoholic because nothing ever delivered for me right on time, like a couple of huge glasses of whiskey. I mean, that just takes everything away right away, and it worked all the time. You know, speed didn't work all the time, you know, frying didn't work all the time. None of those things really work like alcohol for me. So I have no problem with that identity. So anyway, it just got better and better and better. And as I went through life, I picked up this other thing where I really love to be afraid, you know. So all of these compulsions are supposed to be things that take you out of your head, you know. And being terrified is precious, you know. And I really learned that. I was a commando in the Army, you know, and I learned to be terrified and to really get off on that. And you can experience, you know, physical sobriety during periods of extreme kind of suspended terror that lasts for a few months. So anyway, I was not much for being told what to do, you know, and, you know, these drug tests and this sort of thing get in the way. So even though I found something that really suited my soul, you know, I joined the Army really late, and you're like 27 years old in the Army, they call you grandpa, you know. So I got out, and to make a long story short, you know, I couldn't find anyone who wanted to give me a job while I had all that whiskey on my breath, you know, and smelled like pot. So I finally found one kind of moving drugs around, and I kept misappropriating the money and misappropriating the money, and someone asked if I wanted to do something really exciting, and I was like, absolutely. So I kind of lost my mind, and I was up for quite a few days, and I went to shake down the wrong house, you know. So I'm burglarizing this old lady's house. And I'm looking at my shoe on the carpet, you know, and suddenly I become really, really afraid. And I'm afraid like in my head, not in the, you know, kind of the stomach area where I like to be afraid. And this really scared me to death, you know, because it's not the way, you know, I knew I was losing my mind, and that was terrifying. I said, God help me, I'm insane. And the next day, the police came to my apartment like angels, you know, and I was skinny and naked and probably not looking great, you know, and I was so happy to be in jail, you know. So there I was in jail. I don't know how this happens, you guys. I don't know how this works. I have a sister who's got, you know, hepatitis C from shooting heroin, and I've got a 10-year-old nephew, and she survived. Her hepatitis C treatments worked, and she drinks vodka out of her purse. I don't understand how this works for me, but this is what happened. I was walking around in a big cement room in the Orange County jail, and I had some Pruno, which is like trash bag wine cooler. And I said, you know, I don't think I like the way this works anymore. I don't think I like the way this feels. I don't know what the date was, and I'm not going to pick one. It's somewhere between May 10th and May 15th. It'll be 6 years ago if I make it to the middle of this May. So I spent a year in the West Los Angeles VA, and just in case I run out of time, I want to tell everyone the way I do it. You know, I went through a Nazi German program where you worked the steps month by month and really did it, okay? And then I go to a group in Long Beach called the Round Table. And there they have people that say, we don't believe in God, Steve. I'm a Jesus freak for the record. But they say, I don't believe in God, you know, and I don't work the steps. I became an alcoholic by drinking alcohol. One guy's got 32 years and he's that stubborn, you know. Anyway, the bottom line is that they say there, don't drink even if your ass falls off. So you can be a pretty miserable son of a bitch just by understanding that. Or you can be real spiritual and actually get the goal. The goal is, someone told me, to be driving on the freeway at night with the radio off and feel good, with no sound, no distraction, just alone with yourself. So, you know, that's the way it works for me when I put enough effort into it. And putting enough effort into it means being selfish, you know, only 98% of the time. I mean, if you can think about someone besides yourself 1 or 2% of the time, you're home free in this. It says it in that big blue book that this is all centered on being self-centered. That's the disease, period. That's probably why you know people who aren't real selfish, who use a lot of shit or drink too much, and they'll be able to pull it off like you never could. My father is one of those people. And you know, it's a different human being. So anyway, I get really, really into working the steps, and I get really into helping other people. But I slide, you know. You start off on this and you feel great about it, but it's real easy to fall into, you know, spiritual neglect. You know, guys like me are motivated pretty much by pain. So when I get that way, occasionally I'll be in a hotel room with a bunch of my friends who are smoking joints and drinking at a bachelor party in Las Vegas. Or I'll be hanging out with some, you know, slimy people or whatever. And they'll be drinking a lot or using drugs. And I'll tell you, my job, constantly, you know, my boss invited me to a whiskey tasting the other day, you know, it's wild, you know. In those situations, I don't drink even if my ass falls off. And that comes down to the fact that there's this chapter 3, more about alcoholism, in that blue book. The chapter 3 says that, you know, if you can dig that you're different from other people and that you're an alcoholic and that you can't take one safely, you're home free. That's what it tells me. I'm completely convinced that one drop or one joint is the death of me. It'll never be enough. I've never wanted to be like a little bit buzzed. I've never wanted to have like a little bit of anything, you know? And I'm looking forward to making a bunch of money so I can be a disgusting shopaholic or something like that too. That's just in my nature to the bone. And so I know everything's like that, you know? I know I could be the type of person, you know, if I ever settle down and become a family guy, you know, that I'll be the type of person that, you know, works too much and that kind of thing. That's just in my nature to the bone, and I accept that and only get relief by God's grace. So since I've been sober, a bunch of wonderful things have happened. I had a felony dismissed, not expunged, but dismissed. And I'm at the point right now, I work for a brokerage firm here in Westwood. And I started off, I happened to have a manager that used to be a bad guy when he was like 17. So he's like, Steve, you know, I really relate to you. I want you to, you know, to come work with me. And I started as a statutorily disqualified person. So I started with like regulators coming and reading all my emails and like making surprised visits. It's been that way for like 3 years. And it's so incredible. They've never had anyone kind of come off this kind of probation. So now they don't even, they're saying, oh yeah, we want to get you off, Steve, but you know, the regulators say we don't even know what the process is for that. We have to kind of look back. So that happens to people like us, you know. You know, someone at my home group in Long Beach says it hasn't all been diamonds and blowjobs, and it certainly hasn't, you know. I've made a whole lot of mistakes. But, you know, when I do things that don't feel good inside, I try and fix them as quickly as possible. And you know, I don't get too into this, you know, too into this 10-step stuff, but I take a look at things when significant things happen, or when I go to bed after a lot of activity, and I say, hey, you know, was this a good one? Did I do this right or not? And if I don't do a good job, I don't hold myself. It's not Steve sitting to the right hand of Jesus. It's just you do better, and if it's significant, you fix it. And it's been a number of years that way, and it works well for me, and I'm happy often enough for it to be worth it for me. So thank God, and thanks for letting me share.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.